Okay, so we're diving in some, pretty familiar waters today. But this isn't the, how do I put it? This isn't the children's Bible version.
Right.
Most of us, we've heard about Noah's Ark, the flood, all the animals. But what about, like, what happens after
Yeah, after the waters recede.
Genesis 9? Talk about new beginnings. Yeah, but wow, it's also about power and responsibility and all those, those very human flaws that just seem to pop up no matter how many times the world, like, restarts.
It's interesting, right? Because what often gets missed is that this chapter, it's like it sets the stage not just for the rest of the Bible, but for how we understand, like humanity's whole deal.
And the war.
Like a reset button, but also a blueprint. And the implications, man, pretty profound.
Let's start with the reset then. God blesses Noah and his sons. Be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth. After 40 days of rain, I mean, sounds like a pretty good offer, right?
Okay.
But then we hit this kind of bump. Dominion over animals.
Yeah.
And, oh yeah, permission to eat them. Like, it's a blessing, but with some pretty intense terms and conditions attached.
It's the moment. I mean, before the flood, the text kind of suggests, plants, more of a plant-based diet for everybody. But here, it all shifts. Animals are food now, totally under human control.
Okay, so right off the bat, there's this power dynamic, this fresh start. Already seems kind of loaded.
Yeah, and it's not just like practical survival either. It's a whole hierarchy. And that's huge. That idea echoes through history, shapes how we see wildlife, conservation, even factory farming.
So baked into this fresh start, already some pretty heavy consequences brewing.
Exactly. And Genesis, it's not like avoiding the tough stuff.
Yeah.
It's acknowledging that even with a clean slate, even with, blessings from up high, we're going to make things messy. Ethical challenges? Oh, we're going to wrestle with those. Still are, today.
And then there's this whole no eating meat with blood rule. Feels so specific. We just had this big sweeping statement about dominion over animals. And then, wait, not so fast. Was that, I don't know, was that a common dietary thing back then?
Oh, it's way more than dietary. It's symbolic. Deeply. In the ancient world, blood, sacred, totally tied to like the essence of life itself. Think of it this way, okay? By saying no blood, the text is drawing a line. Humans, yeah, they get dominion, but there are limits. You still got to respect life, even animal life. It's like it's woven into this new world order.
It's like these small details,
Yeah.
They're not really small. They point to something much bigger about how we fit into all of this.
Right.
But Genesis 9, it doesn't like stay zoomed out. It gets real and specific really quickly.
Okay.
Especially when we get to that verse about shedding man's blood.
Whoever sheds the blood of man, by man shall his blood be shed, for in the image of God he made man. Heavy stuff. Not just, a law. It's a statement.
About
Human value. It's saying straight up that murder is punished by death because humans are made in God's image. Imago Dei.
So hold on. Not only is this what the first time capital punishment is mentioned, but it's connected to this idea that we have inherent worth. Like dignity we don't earn, it's just given.
Exactly. And that one idea, it's huge. It's echoed through history, legal systems, social justice, everything. The belief that every human life has value, no matter what. It starts here.
You said before Genesis 9, it's like a blueprint.
Yeah.
And we see that with no blood, with Imago Dei.
Yeah.
But then, well, this next part's harder, right? Noah plants a vineyard, enjoys it maybe a little too much. Things get messy.
The vineyard. Yeah, this is one of those passages open to interpretation, you could say. On the surface, don't drink too much. A little deeper, though. The incident with Ham, then the curse on Canaan, his son. Centuries of debate right there.
It's honestly hard to read, especially knowing how people use this story to justify some horrible things.
And that's exactly why we have to think critically. Can't ignore the tough parts of these texts. Got to recognize they're powerful. They can be understood, misunderstood. It's a responsibility.
Can't ignore the harm, yeah. Even within something considered sacred, which maybe this is a good transition because now we get to the rainbow. And everybody loves a good rainbow, right? But in Genesis 9, it's more than just, a weather event.
Right. It's a covenant, a promise from God to never again destroy the earth by flood. And the rainbow, the symbol of that promise, God's mercy, faithfulness, all wrapped up in those colors.
So from this very specific story, we get something universal almost. Hope, new beginnings, finding meaning after disaster. Feels pretty human,
And what's fascinating is the rainbow is important in so many cultures. Often about the connection between the human, the divine. It's a bridge.
But as beautiful as it is, that rainbow doesn't erase everything that came before. A promise, yes, but easy answers. Not so much. Feels like I don't know about you, but I feel like we just barely scratched the surface here.
Right.
And we've already like uncovered so much about, just what it means to be human.
That's the thing about these stories, they're old, but they make us think about like everything, our own ideas, our place in the world, how it all connects back to
These ancient stories.
Exactly.
Yeah. We started with a rainbow.
Exactly.
Hopeful, right? But also it's like alongside all that hope, there's still these really tough questions. And I don't know, potential for good and bad. We see that right through the whole story.
Yeah. To the paradox, right? Genesis 9, new beginnings, second chances, all that. But it's not naive. Human nature, still complicated. Just because the flood's over, that doesn't mean the journey is. That's what's still so relevant.
We're still on that journey, yeah. So, I mean, where do we even go from here? What are you thinking about after all this?
Honestly, the fact that we're still talking about it, that this story, after thousands of years, can still speak to us deep down, fears, hopes, trying to figure out where we fit in. We're not so different from those first folks asking those questions.
It's all connected.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a good place to maybe pause for now.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into Genesis 9. Really appreciate it. And to everyone listening, keep thinking about these questions. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for spending this time with us. Toby, Eleanor, and our team of researchers are working hard to produce more episodes. If you value what we're doing here, please consider subscribing and sharing the word. Additionally, our podcast, RSS, and Patreon links can be found below. Listener support is what makes our work possible. Join us next time for another deep dive. God bless.